Almonte's Key Food, proudly serving communities throughout Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island for over 30 years. When you shop Key Food, you'll always find fresh products, great weekly specials, and exceptional personalized service. Visit at any of their Key Food stores at 8235 153rd Avenue, Lindenwood, New York, 935 Rosedale Road, Valley Stream, New York, and 6620 Avenue U, Brooklyn, New York.
WABC New York, WRCR Haverstraw, and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Tuesday, June 2nd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today. The high going to be 78. Another beauty on the way. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 61. And then we'll do it all over again tomorrow. A little bit warmer. Sunshine, high 82. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 45 and clear in Peekskill up in Westchester. 47 and clear in West Milford over in New Jersey. And it's 51 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
When will the commute from hell end for New Jersey Transit riders? That Newark ICE detention center has become a tourist attraction. The World Cup matches are in New Jersey, but the traffic tie-ups could take place in Midtown. Raccoons on the attack in one local town. And we have some more clues about the sewer crew in Brooklyn. All right, let's get into it at 5:04. What will New Jersey Transit surprise us with today? Yesterday brought an incredibly challenging commute for riders. It was a result of Friday's fire in one of the Hudson River tunnels. A train where car caught fire on Friday early morning, left 5 people injured. It damaged overhead wires, other infrastructure, and the thought was they would be able to get the work to fix it all done by Monday. And riders woke up on Monday to find out that trains were going to be late. So the question is, what's going to happen this morning?
All the trains in Madison, they're being diverted to Hoboken, and I need to get to the city, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to Uber to Penn Station.
Yeah, Midtown direct service was diverted to Hoboken. Lots of people sent that way. They crossed honored trains. Some people got to Newark Penn Station, tried to figure to get a way to get in that way.
I've been seeing delays and cancellations, even with me trying to go out to New York from now. I'm just staying at some families until I could get back out there.
Yeah, so the train car caught fire. This was 1:30 a.m. on Friday. And now Monday morning, New Jersey Transit, which the commuters have just put up with just about everything over the last decades, we're dealing with that again yesterday. You even had the chair of the MTA across the river, Jan O'Lieber, saying, what the hell's going on? And are you going to be able to handle the traffic for the World Cup? Because New Jersey Transit is going to be ferrying people between Penn Station and the Meadowlands.
Whenever there's a big event or anything in the area locally, I mean, not even with NJ Transit, but just in general, the traffic in the area gets really backed up.
And everybody talking about how bad this is. In New Jersey Transit, they're blaming Amtrak. John Wisniewski, he was the former chair of the New Jersey State Assembly Transportation Committee, and he says New Jersey Transit better be prepared with a contingency plan if and when problems arise during both the NBA Finals, which of course is going to take place at Madison Square Garden, or the World Cup, which is going to take place out in the Meadowlands. And he's worried they don't have a backup plan because it seems like a lot of times they do not.
That there's some mechanical difficulty. What are the backup bus alternatives? If more than a certain number of engineers call out sick and you don't have enough engineers to operate the locomotives, you could have trains canceled.
Yeah.
There needs to be planning to have backup employees.
Yeah, so New Jersey Transit heard that statement from Wisniewski yesterday, and you would think, okay, they would come back with, we do have a plan. But no, instead they blamed Amtrak for all of their problems, which is not what New Jersey Transit riders want to hear. In a moment, we're going to go down to the Jersey Shore, where it was unfortunately a tragic day yesterday. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:07, first check of traffic and transit on this early Tuesday morning. Good morning, Joe Nolan.
Well, I've trained you well, Noah. New Jersey Transit.
Are they late again this morning?
No.
Oh,
I'm just saying, you don't believe anything they say. Well done.
No, thank you. Yeah. I don't. I haven't for a while, but it's just gotten worse over the last couple of years. So
yeah, we'll see what happens today. I mean, and again, to be fair, this isn't their fault, and this is Amtrak. It's just the old equipment and old stuff that's in Penn Station because it's over 100 years old, and it's not really their fault, but still, nonetheless, it's fun to blame them.
It is, and we'll go down to D.C. then and shake them around and tell them to fix Amtrak. If that's
exactly.
what the problem is. Yeah,
exactly.
WABC News Time 5:09. Too many drownings too early in the season. You'll remember last week there was one in the Rockaways. This week, yesterday, there was one down at Wildwood Beach down the Jersey Shore. A 14-year-old boy went into the surf, never came back out. Devorius Carter was at the beach on a school trip when he went into the water. The Coast Guard searched 500 yards offshore near Morey's Piers. They deployed helicopters, boats, and an extensive search. It lasted hours into last night. New Jersey State Police, they had drones up in the air, all-terrain vehicles searching the shoreline, but unfortunately no sign of this 14-year-old.
He came down here to Wildwood on a class trip. Every child that went to the beach has a one-to-one because they're special needs. As far as I know, no staff member got into the water with any of the children.
Yeah, that's the teenage son. That's her grandmother. Wildwood Fire Department chief said that first responders were actually on their way to the scene already when they got the call that someone was flailing in the water. They said there was incredibly strong currents yesterday. And of course, it's early in the season, so the water's still pretty cold. That all complicated rescue efforts.
Our personnel heard it before being dispatched and were on the move.
There were no lifeguards present at all, and they still allowed these children that special needs to get into the water.
I mean, you can't say it enough. If there's no lifeguards on duty, you're out of your mind to go into the ocean. You think you somehow can conquer it. Bad idea. In this case, of course, a group of special need kids, even more so.
I think that's a disgrace, and somebody will be accounted for.
Yeah.
But none of this can bring back my grandson.
Well, she's absolutely right about that. 5:11 over to Newark, where New Jersey State Police have handed primary command over to the Newark Police Department outside Delaney Hall, where demonstrators continue to protest over conditions in an ICE detention center there. Last night was the second night of a curfew that Newark leaders put down over the weekend. So from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., you can't have protesters out there. And they say things were more calm last night than they have been over the last couple of weeks.
Using tear gas canisters and pepper bullets and all these things, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. We have a right to be out here and protest and speak our minds. I think that they just amplified the escalation that she was trying to avoid.
It is interesting to see, and you won't be shocked to hear this, that protesters are coming from all over the country to take part in this ICE demonstration. In fact, one of the arrests they made in the last couple of days was somebody from Washington State. Over the weekend, you had Governor Mikey Sherrill. She brought in the state police to keep the calm. Anti-ICE protesters, pro-ICE protesters all clashed while state and Newark police tried to maintain order.
The people who are inside really need to know that there's support outside for them while they're going through what they're going through.
The escalating violence against the protesters is definitely what motivated me to come today.
Yeah, no, what's interesting is we learned that Border Czar Tom Homan visited Delaney Hall over the weekend to oversee the ICE efforts and personally observe the conditions. And one of the complaints that these protesters are making is that the meals have mealworms in the food. So Delaney sat down over the weekend and had one of the meals that the detainees are eating. And he said the food tasted fine for him. He said there was no problem at all. And then you had this Republican lawmaker from New Jersey, Congressman Jeff Van Drew, says he visited Delaney Hall, and he says he doesn't know what people were screaming and hollering about because, as he says, the conditions inside are just fine.
What I saw, surprisingly, not really surprisingly, but was that the conditions were good. The place was nice, it was clean, it was safe, it was appropriate. There was a physician on hand.
Demonstrators have been attempting to block people in vehicles from entering and exiting. That's why you've had these issues with ICE officers and these protesters. Meanwhile, You probably won't be surprised to hear this either. The site has become a tourist attraction in Newark. So you have people who have no interest in the protests whatsoever, maybe don't even know exactly what's going on, but there's all kinds of people there and cameras and reporters, and so they were checking it out yesterday.
I do see some city electives out here, so I'm happy to see that. You know, our city is representing themselves and here giving information to the residents and people that are also here protesting and visiting.
Now, Delaney Hall is a privately run facility. It has about 1,000 beds. There are about 300 detainees right now inside that institution. 5:14. Let's go out to Long Island, where police gave us a whole lot more information on an early morning stabbing that took place yesterday. They arrested a 22-year-old woman in Massapequa with murder that took place earlier in the day. They say when they arrived at this home on Beaumont Street, they found a 28-year-old man dead after being stabbed in the neck. Neighbors say they knew this victim well and were completely shocked that anybody would want to do him harm.
Nothing out of the ordinary. Sunday dinners. He goes and watches his nephews play baseball. This is a very sleepy part of the town here. This is very different for us.
Yes, we don't know a whole lot more about why this woman allegedly did what she did, but of course that's all the talk of the neighborhood in Massapequa where things are normally pretty quiet.
It's definitely something you don't want to wake up to at 2 in the morning, especially hearing that he did die and that it wasn't just like an injury.
But it was a stabbing of a young man around him.
Yeah, that 22-year-old woman initially fled the scene, but they quickly caught her, and she's behind bars this morning. In a moment, we'll head out to California. It's a big primary day there. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Ella.
Good morning to you, Noam Layden. We, of course, start with our look ahead to tomorrow night. Just a little bit over 20, well, I guess a good chunk of time, over 24 hours away from the Game 1 of the NBA Finals, 8:30 p.m. tomorrow night out in San Antonio. Of course, our New York Knicks meeting the San Antonio Spurs. They head into Game 1, I should say, as 4.5-point road underdogs. The first two games of the series will be out in San Antonio. Still looking ahead to that. Let's head to the Diamond in Seattle. The Mets lost 3-2 in 10 innings to the Mariners in the opener of a 3-game interleague series. New York mustered only 2 hits and had its 4-game winning streak snapped. Mets dropped to 7-5 in extra innings, the most any major league team has played this season. In the 6th, New York did take the lead briefly in Marcus Semion's 6th home run. He's homered in back-to-back games after starting the season ice cold. Up next for the Mets, they have yet to announce a starter for tonight's middle game against the Mariners, but are expected to use an opener before turning to a bulk reliever as they did last night. First pitch from Seattle is scheduled for 9:40 p.m. Yankees back in action tonight. Are they still
the worst team in baseball, the Mets?
No, they're in 4th place in the NL East now.
Oh,
so they leapfrogged the Miami Marlins. They had that sweep over the weekend. Yeah, it was over the weekend. Today's Tuesday. So, yeah, over the weekend they swept the Miami Marlins, leapfrogged them in the NL East, so now they're in 4th place. So,
all right.
Not even the worst team in the division. How about that?
Look at that.
Making progress.
We like that. I should probably pay attention more closely.
Nah.
I kind of gave up on them.
Nah, it's over already.
All right.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, then I will.
Yeah. Yanks, they're still a serious ball club, though. They're back in business tonight after an off day yesterday. Welcome in the Cleveland Guardians. They're back at home. 7:05 p.m. First pitch, Cam Schlittler will get the start in the opener of a 3-game set. And the Stanley Cup playoffs start tonight as well. 8 p.m. Golden Knights and Hurricanes in Carolina for Game 1. Looking forward to that. And huge news out of the NFL yesterday. A lot of movement going on already. The Cleveland Browns traded 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett to the LA Rams for 2-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Jared Verse and multiple draft picks, the team's announced. The Browns received a first-round draft pick in 2027, a second-round pick in 2028, and a third-rounder in 2029, and what is one of the biggest trades in NFL history involving a defensive player. Also, the Philadelphia Eagles agreed to trade star wide receiver A.J. Brown to the Patriots for a first-round draft pick in 2028 and a 2027 fifth-round pick. The fifth-round selection will be the better of New England's 2 picks in that round of next year's draft. In the trade, which has been discussed, of course, and anticipated across the NFL for months. No real surprise here, but it does reunite A.J. Brown and Patriots coach Mike Vrabel, previously together in in Tennessee. That is your Sports Know, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time, 5:19. Let's go out to California. Big day there. Two big races, one for governor, the other for mayor. A new poll out just ahead of voting today has, in the governor's race, Democrat Javier Becerra in the lead, 28% support. Democrat Tom Steyer leapfrogging into second place over Republican Steve Hilton, who had been in the lead in the polls for a while. Now, whether this all plays out that way today, we'll have to wait and see. That's why people go to the polls. Tom Steyer, of course, all excited at a campaign event in Los Angeles yesterday to see that he was in second place. Now, the way it works in California is the top two vote getters, whether they be both Republican, both Democrat, one of each party, that's who heads to the November race to decide who the next governor is. Here was Tom Steyer.
California deserves better. California deserves a change. That's what I'm running to deliver. When you cast your ballot, it's not about me. It's about single payer. It's about climate progress. It's about housing. We can show them that single payer is possible and home ownership is achievable and that corporate monopoly power is not inevitable.
All right, so this was all part of an Emerson College poll. They were the ones that have Javier Becerra first, Tom Steyer second, and then Steve Hilton third. Becerra, he held a campaign rally in Long Beach.
I am not learning this job on day one. I have done this job.
One of his big talking points out on the campaign trail is that he's going to take on the Trump administration.
I will fight every cut, and I will march California toward universal coverage of health care for our families. All families in California should ever have to choose between their health and their home.
Yeah, so that'll be an awfully interesting race to watch as the day wears on into this evening. And then the other one in California that all eyes are on is the race for mayor in Los Angeles. Now, the way that one works is if one candidate comes up with 50% over 50% or more, they are the next mayor of Los Angeles. If nobody gets 50%, which is what is expected to happen today, then the top two vote getters will move on to November. Now, you have Karen Bass, the mayor there, struggling to hold on. Now, a recent poll still has her in first place by just 1 or 2 points. She's going up against council member Neetha Raman and then reality TV star turned community activist Spencer Pratt. He was out meeting with voters yesterday.
We can make Los Angeles affordable, safe, welcoming, raise up our economy, and fix our infrastructure. We've laid a great foundation over 3 years, and now we need to bring it home.
Yeah, that's Karen Bass speaking at a campaign event. The latest poll from the UC Berkeley Institute of Governmental Studies shows Bass with just a 1% lead over Raman, 4 points ahead of Pratt. So again, this is a big race everybody's watching to see if Spencer Pratt can somehow pull this off. All he needs to do is get second place. Of course, it'd be huge if he got first, but that would make it so he could move on in November to the general election.
There is a clear choice. We want somebody that has proven and delivered versus somebody who has a lot of theory and wonderful ideas, but the city needs to have the job done. And then there's a guy that functions in fantasy world.
She's talking about Spencer Pratt, and he was out doing these porch talks over the weekend into yesterday. He would go to families' porches and give lectures to anybody who showed up. Now, he says that his crowd is moms, and he says his other crowd is people who are animal lovers, and he says those two would be enough to put him over the top.
A lot of people say, oh, he doesn't have any experience, but we all have the experience living in this city. We know what needs to be changed, and as a city, we will change it together.
One of the controversial things that Pratt has talked about, at least for some voters in Los Angeles, is he wants mandatory drug addiction treatments for homeless people, because the homeless problem is a huge deal in Los Angeles.
Enough is enough. I'm the one with compassion. No matter what these people tell you, I don't want people dying on the street. I don't want our tax money going to needles to kill these people. I want to get them in treatment.
Yeah, so that will be an awfully fascinating race to watch into this evening. Again, no candidate expected to get to 50% threshold, which would automatically make them mayor. So the thought is top two candidates will move on to the general election in November. WABC News Time. Oh, I should point out there is a big primary election in New Jersey as well today. The only really competitive races in the 11th district. I mean, there's some other races that people will get mad and say they're competitive, but on paper they don't seem to be. So the 11th district's the interesting one. That's the seat that Mikey Sherrill gave up to become governor. Polls open in New Jersey at 6 this morning. There are some down lower races, not congressional races, that are probably a whole lot closer in individual towns, but the big race, again, polls open 6 o'clock in New Jersey, close at 8 o'clock tonight. 525 down in Texas. All the talk is the race for Senate there. Now, that isn't until November, but you have Ken Paxton, the state attorney general, taking on Democrat James Tallarico. Now, Democrats think they can somehow pull off this race in Texas, where Democrats don't usually win statewide office. Ken Paxton was appearing and continues to on talk shows across the state to get his name out there.
Paxton is not an especially good stump speaker and doesn't enjoy doing that and has very little experience doing it.
That's Rice University's Mark Jones, who's watching this race closely. He says Paxton will likely rely on other Republicans to do the hefty lifting on the campaign trail because they say he's not a fantastic speaker.
He will, from the sidelines, do what he needs to do to maintain support, but primarily via more controlled environments. Throughout his political career, he rarely has done big public events that weren't tailored to a small conservative audience.
They think this will likely be the most expensive Senate race the nation's ever seen because Democrats, Republicans pouring a ton of cash into this. 526, let's go overseas. Iranian state media reporting Tehran is ending and has ended negotiations with the U.S. because of ceasefire violations, they say, by the U.S. Correspondent Blake Sifton reports that Iran is accusing the U.S. of failing to keep Israel from escalating attacks in Lebanon.
Since a very shaky ceasefire that's largely evaporated came into place in April, Israel has largely avoided striking Beirut. That's been under pressure from the Trump administration. But according to reports in recent days, Israel has been lobbying the U.S. To allow them to begin striking Beirut.
So President Trump yesterday at the White House said he had not heard from Iran about whether it's walking away from peace talks. He told NBC later in the day that if the reports are true, that's fine by him.
It does have high historic significance here in Israel, but it also does really show just how dramatically Israel has escalated their military campaign in Lebanon in recent days and how remote a peaceful resolution appears.
Yeah, Israeli troops are pretty close to Beirut at this point. President Trump says he asked Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu to pull those troops back. He asked Hezbollah to stop shooting. Talks between Israel and Lebanon are scheduled for today in D.C., where Lebanese negotiators hope to secure a halt of attacks, and they say the occupation of the southern part of the country. Israel says that would stop if the firing stopped into northern Israel. Those talks are expected to happen sometime later this morning.
Promoting free speech 24/7. This is Talk Radio 77 WABC. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Tuesday, June 2nd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Just a beauty of a day on the way. Mix of sun and clouds today, high 78. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 61. We'll do it all over again tomorrow. Sunshine, high 82. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. It's kind of chilly, actually. 45 and clear in Peekskill up in Westchester. 47 and clear in West Milford over in New Jersey. And it's 51 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 541. Let's go out to Park Slope, Brooklyn, where we learned more about what ended up being a murder-suicide there. It was a mom who was killed by her daughter over the weekend, and you sort of never know who's listening to this program. But one of the family members reached out to us to tell us the story, and they say 59-year-old Olga Bracero was doing her best to try to keep her 23-year-old daughter in check, Kayla, who has had, I guess, severe mental health issues and some drug issues over the year. And I guess the mom had asked for help. And of course, help comes in all different ways. But if you can't really force a 23-year-old to get help if they don't want it, it's a huge issue, of course. And this ended just tragically so. The mom was stabbed to death. Then the daughter then killed herself. And they said she suffered from schizophrenia, the daughter. Again, the mother tried to help, but was unable to. Neighbors, of course, just shocked by what ended up being a pretty grisly murder. There was blood on the walls.
The killer called me around 9 o'clock at night to ask me if she could come cook some food at my house. I cried because she's like my niece, you know?
Yeah.
Her mother's like my sister.
Just an awful story. The grisly stabbings come just 2 years after another murder-suicide that took place in the exact same building on 2nd Street in Park Slope. Over in New Jersey, there have been a number of raccoon attacks that have happened in broad daylight within hours of each other. Some of them were over the weekend in Ridgewood. A 7-year-old boy was bitten in the leg. An adult was bitten on private property. Both received treatment, thankfully, for rabies as a precaution. But, of course, everybody's freaked out because so far they haven't found the raccoon or raccoons that are behind these attacks.
Sounds very scary. And I'm just wondering if the raccoon is rabid.
Yeah, so animal control is continuing to canvass the area for the raccoons. They have not found any evidence of the animals so far, but they think they will.
2 attacks. One where a minor was bit and scraped, and another where an adult on private property was bit as well. Traditionally, if an animal like this does have rabies, usually within 72 hours, the animal dies.
Yeah, so Ridgewood is considering dropping those rabies vaccination pellets in wooded areas where the animals congregate. Federal agencies have done this for years, and they say it's not a danger to other animals. And the flavored pellets, they vaccinate wildlife against rabies. So I don't know why they'd be against this, but I'm sure there's somebody who has a reason why.
The best news is to leave nature alone, but the rabies is a real issue.
Yeah. It's very frightening. And I did have a friend a long time ago who was bitten, and yes, she had the whole treatment, and it was very traumatic.
Yeah, when you're seeing raccoons in the middle of the day, that's never a good thing because they like the night, the cover of the darkness. I see them a lot of times when I leave for work in the morning. They're rifling through trash cans in my neighborhood. They're not interested in me. They're interested in the garbage. But if you see them during the day, yeah, you definitely want to stay away. And so that's what neighbors are being told in Ridgewood. Stay away. Don't feed these animals. Don't try to handle the wild animals. That would really be a bad idea.
Making sure that if they do see something or they see a sick animal, that they stay away from it, that they avoid that, and that they do call the Ridgewood Police Department.
Yeah, so meanwhile, so far they have not found the raccoon or raccoons that are behind either of these attacks. In a moment, we will head out to Long Island, where a friendly softball game turned violent yesterday. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Sports sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. Spent the early half of this week just looking ahead to tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. That's your Game 1 tip-off for the NBA Finals. Of course, our New York Knicks getting ready to go up against the San Antonio Spurs. Series will start in San Antonio for Games 1 and 2. The Spurs having home court advantage. And the Knicks will head into Game 1 tomorrow night as 4.5-point road underdogs. Let's head to the Diamond in Seattle. The Mets lost 3-2 in 10 innings to the Mariners in the opener of a 3-game interleague series. New York mustered only 2 hits and had its 4-game winning streak snapped. Mets dropped to 7-5 in extra innings, the most any major league team has played this season. In the 6th, New York did take the lead briefly on Marcus Semion's 6th home run. He's homered in back-to-back games after starting the season ice cold. Up next for the Mets, they have yet to announce a starter for tonight's middle game against the Mariners, but are expected to use an opener before turning to a bulk reliever as they did last night. First pitch from Seattle is scheduled for 9:40. As for the Yankees, they were off yesterday. They're back at it tonight. They're back at home in the Bronx. They'll welcome in the Cleveland Guardians for the first of 3. Cam Schlittler will get the start there in what will be a 7:05 7:05 p.m. first pitch from the Bronx. Stanley Cup playoffs start tonight as well. Golden Knights and the Hurricanes. It'll get going out in Carolina. Stanley Cup final game 1 there. And a lot of movement around the NFL yesterday as well. The Cleveland Browns traded two-time Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett to the LA Rams for two-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Jared Verse and multiple draft picks. The teams announced yesterday. The Browns received a first-round draft pick in 2027, a second-round pick in 2028, and a third-rounder in 2029 in what is one of the biggest trades in NFL history involving a defensive player. Also, the Philadelphia Eagles agreed to trade star wide receiver A.J. Brown to the Patriots for a first-round draft pick in 2028 and a 2027 fifth-round pick. The fifth-round selection will be the better of New England's 2 picks in that round of next year's draft. The trade, which has been discussed and anticipated across the NFL for months, no one's really surprised, but it does reunite A.J. Brown with his former head coach of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel, out in New England. And I appreciate you not pressing me on that there, Noam Olin.
You thought I was going to press you? Well, like you said, everybody saw it coming.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not surprised. I've had a lot of time to deal with this. And
yeah, you're upset about it.
No, I'm not upset at all. No.
You seem a little upset.
Well, there's a lot of good times there. Yeah. Did I shed one tear? Maybe half of a tear.
Yeah.
That's your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a dealer near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built of boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
Here's a tissue, Justin.
Yeah, thanks, no.
WABC News Time 5:49. Let's go out to Long Island, where a friendly adult recreational softball game escalated into serious violence on Sunday. Nassau County Police telling us that they responded to Cedar Park around 2 in the afternoon Sunday, and they found that this 32-year-old Brian Polanco had hit a player from the other team over the head with a metal bat. Now, they didn't say whether it was like a bad call or what exactly had taken place, but, never a good idea to hit a fellow or a player from the other team over the head with a metal bat when you're playing just like recreational adult pickup softball.
I think that's terrible that is happening over here.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be happening over here. Yeah. This is a nice park. I walk here every day.
Yeah, so the bad part for Polanco is apparently he's never been in trouble before, but now he faces second-degree assault and fourth-degree criminal possession of a weapon charges. Back here in the city, Mayor Mamdani making sure that New York City school students can stay up late to watch the Knicks play in the NBA Finals that begin tomorrow night. The mayor was joined by a group of students at City Hall yesterday. He signed an executive order that repeals bedtime so kids can stay up late to watch the game.
My friends, executive order is signed. Bedtime is repealed. All of you can watch the finals.
Yeah, he's doing what every mayor or lawmaker does when a sports team, a local one's playing well. You lean in, right? You take a little credit for it. The children, they also signed this order yesterday with their handprints.
Who's ready to watch the Knicks win the championship? Yay! All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful. All the signatures. And the executive order. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so game 1 of the finals is on ABC tomorrow night. Of course, kids like this idea of being able to stay up late.
I think it's epic. I want to stay up all night.
Yeah, okay. Governor Kathy Hochul highlighting the success of her bell-to-bell smartphone ban that went into effect at the beginning of the school year statewide across New York.
Students are behaving better in a more engaged way. They're collaborating more.
Yeah.
They're talking to each other. And basically, I read all the comments. They're acting like kids again.
I mean, none of that should be shocking to you. You take the phones away. They were so preoccupied with them. She released a survey yesterday that shows 76% of the nearly 585 educators say the ban has resulted in positive changes in classroom behavior. That includes improved attention, respect for fellow students, even following directions.
We are seeing kids talk to each other as they transition through the hallways. We're seeing them interact with each other in cafeterias in ways that we haven't seen in years.
Yeah.
So this is bringing sort of a newfound happiness.
Yeah, that's the chief safety officer for New York City Schools who says, yeah, it's been amazing. They're having a lot less cell phone related issues in New York City public schools. 5:52, we're talking about the governor with a large group of people coming from around the world arriving here now for the World Cup. The governor says it's time for New Jersey Transit and Amtrak to get things right. You know, they've had all kinds of issues over the last couple months. The latest was a work car that caught fire on Friday. Affected service into yesterday morning. She says that can't happen when we're trying to get hundreds of thousands of fans to the World Cup matches out in the Meadowlands starting mid-June.
We're going to be pushing them hard and working with them where it's possible to try to make sure that this goes off flawlessly when we invite the eyes of the world and the people of the world to New York.
Yeah, so she says Amtrak's got to get it together. They got to figure it out.
I don't know if I have an ability to punish Amtrak in any way.
No.
I want to be allies with Amtrak, and so I'm not going to do anything to get them off the track.
Now, the interesting part about this is the World Cup matches are at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, in the Meadowlands. But there's going to be traffic tie-ups here in the city. On match days, 42nd Street will only be open to buses, including the host committee shuttles, from 6 hours before a match through 3 hours after. So even if you have no plans to go out to the World Cup matches, you want to have nothing to do with them, traffic is going to be affected on those days because they're going to move truck deliveries. They're going to restrict them on certain blocks. And, here, I'll let them talk about it.
It's creating essentially a corridor for the folks who need to
By the way, this is a transportation minister.
To the matches, again, while minimizing disruptions for other commuters. We spoke to a whole range of stakeholders, including the trucking community and hearing from businesses. It's 8 match days, right? So we think that it strikes the right balance and it shouldn't be a huge inconvenience. And it's the right thing to do because we know double parking is a major source of congestion.
Yeah, anytime you close things down, though, it's going to be a problem. And you have the app drivers, taxi drivers hearing that portions of Midtown are going to be shut down on match days. They say, no, that's a terrible idea.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
This is New York. We are literally sitting on top of each other in this city. The traffic condition is bad.
Yeah.
Now you're going to close 42nd Street? That's a hell.
I think it's going to affect a lot for traffic, no doubt about it. So it's a major crosstown.
Yeah, so 8 days are going to be gridlock alert days. Remember those that usually happen during Christmas? Well, lucky us, we're going to get them this summer during the World Cup matches. Meanwhile, New Jersey also launching a human trafficking awareness campaign ahead of the World Cup. They're worried about all kinds of prostitutes, people underage being brought in for the fans who are coming to watch the matches.
Human trafficking is a global criminal enterprise, and ending it requires a global response. It starts with conversations with our friends and families and neighbors and in our community.
Yeah, I saw the New York Post did a great story. It was maybe over the weekend or even yesterday about the prostitutes are ready for the crowds. Like the people who have websites and that kind of thing say, yeah, they've already had people making bookings. Now, these are not underage people. These are people doing it on their own.
Most are coming for their love of the game, to share the joy that only a global sporting event can bring. But among them could be, and what we see before, we likely know will be, human traffickers and the buyers they serve.
Yeah, and we'll end with this story. So, because this is what everybody's been asking me about over the last 48 hours, are these sewer creatures, these people that are going into the sewers in Brooklyn. They want to know what these people are up to. Now, 7 guys were seen crawling underground with lights on their heads and shovels in their hands, and then coming out of a sewer. And there's all kinds of reaction to this.
I've never seen anything like that.
No.
But I can't imagine why a person would decide to do something like that.
Crazy.
People do whatever the heck they want in the city. So
Definitely wasn't something legal, I'll tell you that.
Okay, so we reached out to the NYPD to find out what was going on. Did they make any arrests? And they said they don't know who these people are, but they don't think anything sinister is going on. But people in Brooklyn, not so sure.
That sounds like they're doing some searching for something or some research. I thought it was like mental illness, but that sounds like some calculated something.
Who comes out of a manhole cover, you know what I mean? Unless there's something nefarious going on, you know?
It is.
Turtles.
It seems like a form of mental illness, but what the NYPD is telling us is they don't think anything sinister like terror related is going on here. What they do think is these crews, and they've seen this before, are going into the sewers looking for valuables. That's a tough way to make a buck, going into the sewer looking for a valuable.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?